let's talk Commanders for a second here. Because when you've got a ton of cap space, it's always a good thing, let's be honest. Having a ton of cap space, it's a good thing because you have the flexibility. The bad thing is if you're a team, say, like the Patriots, and you got a ton of cap space, and suddenly you're now enriching players that are just the best on a market that might not be that good.
Right.
We'll find out. Obviously, we've covered today the moves that they've made on defense, I think, are really smart.
Agree.
And we'll see, they haven't been able to get too many offensive players coming there yet.
Yeah, just Morgan Moses.
You know what I mean? By the way, which is not bad. You take one from somebody in your division, you make yourself better. That makes sense. But we're looking for, game changers that are going to come in your direction on free agency. And that sometimes isn't the case yet. We'll see. But if you've got a ton of cap space and you've already arrived, okay, and you've got a great situation like you're the Washington Commanders where you went from second overall on the clock to second place in the conference in 1 year, and you've got 3 more years at least, could be 2, before you pay your quarterback, right? And you got that time, and you can win right now. Clearly, the Commanders can win right now, right? We're all in agreement of this?
Yes,
correct?
Sir.
Didn't say that 1 year ago today on the day in which Saquon signed with Philadelphia.
Okay.
But the Commanders, they've got something going on.
For sure.
And they had top 5 amount of cap space going into this offseason. And what you do with it, it doesn't mean you go ahead and spend it on all these free agents and generationally enrich somebody who's gotten 2-3 years in the league and is now looking to get paid, and you pay them. That can work out. But what you do is you look for somebody else's already established stars that are making a significant amount of money, maybe too much for the blood of the team that they've been on and they became established stars with. Maybe that team is capped out a little bit or is looking to send that somebody somewhere else, and you're like, we got the cap space to bring him on. And the Commanders did that with Deebo Samuel and Laremy Tunsil. And gave up draft assets, gave up, if I'm not mistaken, 5 draft choices. 1 for Deebo, 4 for Tunsil, 2 in this year's draft, 2 in next year's draft. And the 2 in next year's draft could leave a bite because that's supposed to be a better draft than this one. And the draft picks they gave up for Tunsil are a 3rd and 7th this year and a 2nd and a 4th next year.
That's a lot of picks.
And Deebo came at the price of a 5th round pick this year. So you're giving up 3 this year, 2 next year for a guy that can make your quarterback that much better because he can catch it and he can run with it. And you've got him a guy who can make sure that the quarterback gets it to the guy to catch it or run it with. You're making that guy better because you got one of the top pass protectors in the league in Laremy Tunsil. That's what we call smart. And they also have north of $40 million in cap space left. So you don't just have to go hog wild like the proverbial shore-leaving sailor, right? You don't have to do that in free agency. You just start looking around for somebody else's top-notch stars and Pro Bowlers who are making a significant amount of money, and you offer them the draft compensation that they can accept because they were otherwise thinking of maybe trading him for less or cutting him. And you just take on the existing contract. And if you want to pay him more, you can extend him, that's fine. But other than that, you just need to do it now for this year and next year while you can before you pay the quarterback. And the entire dynamic changes, which is part of the reason maybe why Deebo was available to begin with. That's just smart general managing. That's smart cherry picking. That's smart roster building. And the Commanders are better today. They signed Zach Ertz. They signed their other tight end, too. Let's see what they can do in the draft. Maybe another smart free agent pickup here and there. I mean, the easy thing to keep saying is, add Cooper Kupp. They could if they want.
They could.
They could do a ton of stuff right now if they want. Just depends on how much draft capital they want to give up. And I wouldn't mind them effing these picks because they chose the motherlode second overall last year. Man, this is not a one-off, guys, right? That's not a one-off with the quarterback and this team. They are just really smart. And every single time they pick somebody up, you know, I learn about it from Magic Johnson, and it's a delightful celebration to announce these selections and acquisitions from Magic. Hey, Commanders are real. So, my 2 cents on that front.
I think you're right. With the losses that Philly has accrued here in the last couple of days, what do you give Washington's chances of overtaking them in the NFC East?
Well, a pretty darn...
More than 50%?
Here's the thing is, I didn't need to see Philadelphia's less than. Although, you got to be careful with the whole Philadelphia's less than.
I'm not saying they're less than. I'm saying they've lost some key pieces in the last couple of days. I
understand that, but what's the one-year anniversary of them acquiring Zach Bond, for instance? Did we even mention it on the show? I bet you we didn't.
Not a high-profile acquisition last year.
Correct. But what did he turn into?
A high-profile acquisition.
Yeah. You know? 1 year ago, we were singing the praises about you got Saquon, of course. But so let's just be careful about, they lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They lost their tackle. They lost this. They lost that. They're less than. The one thing that I would be concerned about is they lost Kellen Moore. Now, that's a different story. Because the last time they lost one of their coordinators, they lost both, and it created a big problem the next year. But I would imagine in Howie you still trust.
San Francisco still has better Super Bowl odds than Washington right now.
That, to me, is...
kind of crazy.
I'd take out the word kinda. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I understand that you got to trust the 49ers and feel that they're going to figure it out. But, again, if you want to just pop up the graphic that we built today prior to the show, because I figured this is definitely one of the conversations over the first 48 hours of the negotiating period is the number of names that we've associated with the depth of this team and how good they are at so many positions that you need to be good at in order to be great. It is jarring, and I would be concerned as being a Niner fan. But the Commanders were a better team last year, and they're going to be a better team going into this year. And I understand you never know what a team can be based on moves that you're assessing in the middle of March. But come on now. Barring injury, the Commanders are 100% a better team going into 2025 and have a better chance of winning a championship in the next 2 to 3 years than the Niners are. And that's not trolling. That's just simple. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.